Here now with reaction, Chief Strategist for the Make America Great Again Coalition, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, and civil rights attorney Darrell Parks. Darrell, let's start with you. Your thoughts.
Without question, I think people are missing the message here. This has always been about racial inequality in the country and drawing attention to the racial inequalities that African Americans and people of color face every day in America. This has never been about disrespecting the flag, our anthem. We all love America. It creates wonderful opportunities for all of us to succeed. Now, the message, though, needs to be clear. The people who are crying out, the president needs to find a way to bring us together. And so I call upon the president to find ways to bring us together in this time to understand that.
Darrell, isn't he bringing us together saying, don't disrespect the flag and the anthem, and don't disrespect those that fought, bled, and died under the flag, and respect the flag, respect the anthem, respect your country, respect the military. That's what he's saying.
But Sean, let me say this to you. But he also has to say, why are the people feeling this way? Why are they feeling that inequalities exist? What can he as the president do to address this? That's the question for the president.
Dr. Gorka?
Mr. Parks, you say you love the flag, you love this nation, well, love the flag as well. The red of that flag, the stripes in that flag, that's the same red as the blood of Americans that fought and died for this nation. And we didn't look upon them based upon their skin color. The blood of a black African American is the same color as an Asian, as a white-skinned American. The people who fought on the beaches of Normandy, who fought in Vietnam, in Korea, in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's a symbol of unity. If you can't see the flag and the anthem as symbols of unity but political tools, then perhaps you should think again about which country you're loyal to.
Well, here's the problem. I think that when people are loyal to the flag, loyal to the anthem, but people still see the injustices in the streets that still exist throughout America. So we have to address that. Yes, we're loyal to the flag. Yes, we show allegiance. But we also see what's happening in police brutalities and inequities that exist throughout the country. So those things have to be addressed and should be addressed
Darrell, you
from
were
the top
wrong on
down.
Trayvon Martin. You were wrong in what the outcome would be. You were wrong in Ferguson.
I wasn't wrong.
And a lot of people were wrong in Baltimore. Cambridge police didn't act stupidly, did they? Dr. Gorka.
When you see those caskets come home from the battlefields with dead American soldiers and Marines in them, do we think about that flag having a skin color? Do we think about that flag belonging to a political party? Is it the GOP's flag? Is it the Democrats' flag? Does it belong to the urban cities? Does it belong to the derisively called flyover states? No, none of those dead Americans are honored by the flag in partisan ways. They are honored because the flag is a symbol of our nation. It's a symbol of our unity. And if you don't want to have a unitary nation, then you don't have a nation. If you don't respect the flag, then you don't respect the lives of the people who died for that nation. It's that simple.
Sharon, if I may, without question, when we see this flag, this is also the same flag that we see young African-American boys also laying in caskets. So there's Americans, many of us have seen the caskets and the lives of our people who have died for no reason at all under law, under the flag.
But that's
those
what
are
he
the
just
type of questions that we have to ask.
Darrell.
Well, no, but nobody.
I just said that.
You just said that.
I just said that. So why aren't we respecting the flag? If dead African Americans, if dead white Americans, if dead Asian, Latin American Americans are respected by that flag on the casket, why do you want to disrespect the flag?
I think you're missing the point. When the African-American boys are dying in our streets and the people who kill them are not being brought to justice, that's injustice. That's inequity that people are drawing attention to.
What did Obama do in all these deaths and shootings and record numbers? Nothing. Nothing. He didn't go to his own home city. He mentioned it like 3 times in his presidency.
But, Sean, without question, we're also waiting on President Trump to go to Chicago as well, too. That hasn't happened.
Thank you both.
You have certainly started a national conversation this week, Mr. President, on the NFL. You say the NFL situation is a very important situation. Your critics say it's been a distraction, but you say it's critical. You talk about words like patriotism and citizenship. Why is this such an important issue for you?
Well, it is an important issue. It's not a distraction at all because, first of all, I'm doing a lot, but the NFL cannot disrespect our country. They cannot disrespect our flag or our national anthem. And they can't have people sitting down or kneeling down during our national anthem. And I saw this a year ago with Kaepernick, and I said, this is a terrible thing. I thought it was terrible. And then it builds up a little bit and a little bit more, and you see what's been happening, and then all of a sudden you see more and more and more. And I came out and I made a statement in Alabama the other day, and I said, I think it's very disrespectful to our country. And the world picked it up. And guess what? Most people agree with me. And the NFL's in a box. They have to do something about it.
The author of Drone Warrior, U.S. Army vet, Brett Velikovich is with us. All right, Pete, start with you. To me, it's simple. It's about the flag, the anthem, the country, respect, and respect for those that fought, bled, died, some of them, fighting under that flag. Simple.
Yes. The president's message is stand up. It's very simple. The interview goes on. He takes on owners. You'll want to see it tomorrow morning. He's very clear about where he thinks the blame lies. But from his perspective, we're in a culture war, a dynamic where too many people take for granted this flag that gives us the freedoms that we have. And when we go on Sunday to watch a football game, I don't want when I'm deployed overseas, watching Armed Forces Network, hoping to watch a football game in Iraq or Afghanistan, which I did many times. I don't want to tune on my TV and see protests of a flag that I'm wearing on my shoulder while carrying a rifle to fight for my freedom. It's very, very clear, Sean, and this president understands that, and he's throwing down the gauntlet because he's not wrong, and he's daring people to say why people shouldn't be standing for the anthem.
You know, Brett, you wrote Drone Warrior, became a bestseller. Now it's going to be turned into a movie, he just told me, which is awesome for you. I really think the people we haven't been listening to are people like you and people like yourself and Pete.
You know, I'm embarrassed just seeing this as an American. I'm embarrassed for our troops that are overseas, that are wearing the flag, as Pete said. You know, these troops right now are taking the fight to our enemy, the enemy that is hell-bent on hurting Americans, that are sitting there right now burning our flags, and then they have to go, you know, our soldiers have to turn on TV to see that we are at war with ourselves back home, to see that NFL players are sitting there basically disrespecting our national anthem, our American flag, and basically spitting on it, and it's disgusting.
The worst part is the Ravens and Jaguars. They're playing in Great Britain. They kneel for the national anthem, but they stand for God Save the Queen?
Right.
I'm like, wow.
Well, Sean, I mean, that's the hypocrisy of it. You know, look, I don't pretend to speak for all veterans, but I like to think I speak for people with common sense. And when I see this...
every vet friend I have is pretty adamant and in your corner, trust me.
Yeah, well, look, here's the thing. I mean, the problem I have with this is that they're not taking real action. The physical act of taking a knee, what does that actually do? It gets people talking about it. Okay, great. You have our attention. We've been talking about it for over a year now since Kaepernick did this. But what are the actual tangible, measurable steps that you're going to take to do something about it? And that's what I'm not seeing.
Yeah. We could use so many different examples. And Pete, when you look at Kaepernick, he had cops depicted as pigs on his socks. And RG3, who I love, I was a huge fan of his. He gets in trouble for wearing a shirt that says "No life in Jesus" and a Reebok shirt. And you can't even honor the slain officers in Dallas. That's against the rules.
Right. Kaepernick chose the national anthem. He chose this as the issue. You could protest in any other way, just like owners and Roger Goodell can choose to enforce this rule on their books. They choose to enforce every other one, but not this one, which means political correctness reigns for them supreme, and their left-wing ideology. They want to be liked amongst the intelligentsia, so they choose not to enforce this and allow these protests, which are against their own rules, while enforcing all these minuscule rules that fans are sick and tired of. This is why President Trump has made this an example, and it's not going anywhere, Sean. A lot of Americans, a vast majority of Americans side with him. This is going to hurt the NFL. They have a big choice to make.
And
Brett, that's a good point. Where does it? I was just going to ask you, where does it end?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, what about the Olympics? Are we going to have to, see, as our country is standing up there getting their medals, people are going to be sitting in the stands. We're the beacon of freedom as Americans.
When do they stand?
Look how expensive it is. For average nearly $100 a ticket, family of four. $400, $500, parking. You get 2 beers, 2 hot dogs, 4 hot dogs, and you're out $700-800. It's a lot of money, Pete.
Hey, no, Sean, I can just turn the channel. I mean, that's what I ultimately have done. And unfortunately, I'm a Vikings fan. If anyone had kneeled, I wouldn't have watched the game. That's going to be their problem. And it's a cultural flashpoint that ain't going away.
The current NFL kneeler movement may have kicked off with Colin Kaepernick, but when it comes to athletes using their platforms for change, he did not start the fire.
70 years ago, this was the face of change and of social activism in sports when Jackie Robinson broke baseball's color line in 1947.
Where's Colin Kaepernick a year later?
A year later, still from a visible standpoint, unemployed as far as the NFL is concerned. The fact of the matter is he's committed. He's put his money where his mouth is, nearly $1 million to community efforts to be a bridge builder.
President Trump has clearly decided that his political livelihood depends on widening this country's racial divide. Why, we have to ask, does this man keep picking at the scab of ethnic anger?
Donald Trump thinks, hey, I can get a victory. I can talk about entitled black athletes who make too much money. He thinks that's going to be successful for him.
This is somebody who is focused on stirring up his working class white base, and he thinks this is the way to do it.
40% of our active military members are racial and ethnic minorities, and you can better believe they have a vested interest in racial justice. Mr. President, don't you think they deserve better?
We're dealing with liberalism here, and we're dealing with the left, and that's just not how they operate. Everybody knows how much I love the NFL and how bigger than life it's always seemed to me, but it doesn't seem bigger than life. It just seems like a tool now. It's become a tool. I don't mean slang for fool. It has become something being used by the political forces of the left to advance their agenda, which is an anti-American